You were never in control. And no one told you. From the beginning, you were conditioned to chase pleasure and run from anything that reveals your true self. But the ones who taught you this didn't want your freedom. They wanted your silence, your comfort, your forgetfulness. Here's the truth. Pain was never the enemy. The real danger is what you've stopped feeling. We live in a system where pleasure is anesthesia, likes, dopamine, quick rewards. You were programmed to crave these things, like a rat in a maze, always running, always escaping boredom, escaping emptiness, escaping your own awareness. The modern mind has been hijacked, not by chaos, but by comfort. You think freedom is doing what you want, but true freedom is enduring what must be done, even when it hurts. As you chase pleasure, you run from pain, and as you run from pain, you run from the mirror. But here's the shadow truth. The pleasure you seek is killing you, because it keeps you away from your original pain. And within that pain lies your awakening. You sabotage yourself because you were taught to avoid discomfort, but only those who cross discomfort and rebuild their soul. You were trained to seek distraction. But in silence lives your greatest fear, yourself. Have you noticed that pleasure is addictive, but never fulfilling? Each dose makes you feel less. The reward is never enough. The relief is brief. The crash is long. That's not coincidence. It's programming. Since childhood, you were taught that when you feel bad, something external must fix it. A sweet, a compliment, a screen, an escape. No, one taught you how to feel discomfort through to the end. No one taught you to look within. Pain became the enemy, but pain was the key. The pleasure industry grew because you were trained to run. But the more you run, the more trapped you become. Instant pleasure, delayed guilt. Repeat. You think it's choice, but it's code, an embedded pattern, the automatic response to pain. Avoid, and in avoiding, you strengthen the cage. Social media, apps, modern addictions, all designed for this, to reinforce your conditioned reflex to escape the now. Because in the now, you'd have to feel. But feeling is the path to freedom. You must relearn pain. Feel without fleeing. Face it without shame. Because only those who stay find themselves. The mind that escapes becomes divided. The mind that faces becomes whole again. And the more you allow yourself to feel, the more you realize the pleasure you were chasing was never freedom. It was distraction. It was controlled dopamine. It was a golden cage. The shadow you avoid is the part of you that needs you the most, but it terrifies you. Because it holds what was suppressed: anger, fear, shame, desire, the silent scream of everything you had to hide to be accepted. Since childhood, you were taught to erase parts of yourself. They told you, that's wrong. That's ugly. That's a sin. And you believed it. You didn't repress by choice. You repressed to survive. But what you bury stays alive. And it lives in the dark, operating in your decisions, your impulses, your relationships, your self-image. That's why pleasure became your refuge, because it distracts you from your shadow. But ignoring doesn't solve. It only delays. And what is delayed returns stronger. You can run from yourself for a while, but never forever. Eventually the void grows too loud. The outer noise fades, and the mirror begins to scream. That's the calling, to stop running and start remembering. You weren't born to live half a life, or to follow a social script. You were born to integrate, to stare into your shadow and say, I see you, I won't run anymore. Because only those who accept their own darkness discover real light. A free mind is not born, it is rebuilt. It rises from the wreckage of conditioning, from the rubble of the lies you believed, and from the courage to stop being what others expect. Awakening is not beautiful. It's brutal. It's realizing your life was driven by invisible commands. And your will was never entirely yours. It hurts to see how much you betrayed yourself trying to fit in. But it's in that moment that everything shifts. Because once you see, you can't unsee. Then the game changes. You start questioning every impulse, every choice, every habit that felt like yours but was programmed. You begin to rebuild, but this time with awareness, not from fear, not for approval, but from integrity. You no longer chase pleasure as escape. You seek truth as healing. The truth of your essence, your pain, your purpose. A free mind is not one that thinks anything. It's one that dares to think what was never taught. And even if the world keeps selling distraction, you choose presence. Even if everyone else is asleep, you choose to wake up. Because now you understand. Freedom was never the absence of pain. It was the full presence of yourself. You now face a choice no one ever explained. Accept the script, or tear the pages. Remain asleep, or allow yourself to wake up. There is no neutrality. Either you are being guided, or you choose to guide. Either you repeat the pattern, or you break the chain. The lie that numbs is seductive. It offers comfort, appearances, the illusion that everything's fine, but truth destroys before it liberates. It rips off the mask, turns you inside out, shows you everything you denied, ignored, avoided, and still, it's the truth that sets you free. Because only it can return what the system stole. Your identity, your mind, your power. You were programmed to chase pleasure and escape yourself. But now maybe you see, pleasure was the leash, escape was the cage, the shadow was the invitation. And you? Will you keep running? Or will you sit with your pain and say, I'm here, I want to remember. The prison is comfortable. Freedom is brutal, but it's real.